Thousands of Nigerian parents are currently moving from one school to another, searching, comparing, trying to find what they believe is the best school for their children. But I want to ask you a very important question. What exactly makes a school the best? Because personally, I don't believe it's simply about whether a school is best, good or bad. But the real question every parent should be asking is this the right school for my child? Because choosing a school for your child is one of the most important decisions you will make as a parent. The school you choose today won't just educate your child, it will help shape the kind of adult they grow up to become. So today I want us to talk about how to choose the right school for your child. The key things every parent should look out for before making that important decision. Hi Impact parents, welcome back to Parenting for Impact. On this channel, we equip parents with the right knowledge, tools required to raise godly, highly confident, and purpose-driven children for generational impact. If this is your first time here, please subscribe, share this video with another parent, as this conversation may help someone make the most important decision for their children. Before we start looking at the practical things to check, there are a few mindsets I need every parent to change. The first is this: don't judge a school by its school fees. Because a school appears affordable doesn't automatically mean that it offers poor quality. And because a school appears expensive or is expensive doesn't automatically mean that it offers the best quality either. Some affordable schools are quietly doing an incredible job every single day, raising disciplined, confident, and well-rounded children, while some expensive schools simply have beautiful buildings, impressive facilities, great marketing with very little substance. But please don't misunderstand me. There is nothing absolutely wrong with paying a high school fees if you can genuinely afford it and if the school offers an excellent value. But don't just assume that because a school fees is expensive, then it equals quality education. You need to understand that many schools today are businesses, and just like every other business, some invest more in marketing than truly developing the children. So don't just get carried away by the beautiful structure. Go beyond what your eyes can see and ask, what kind of environment is this school creating for my child? I want to also mention another thing that is very important that many parents tend to overlook. If your child is still in nursery primary school, at this stage I want you to invest more in their education, because this is like the foundation of their schooling, of their education. You want to properly lay a good foundation for them, so that, because everything they will be doing in secondary school will be built upon what they have learned in nursery and their basic education. So I want you to focus more on investing in the foundational years of your child's learning and make sure you are getting the right school for your child. So don't just look for a school that will teach your child to pass examination. Look for a school that will help your child love learning, develop character, build confidence, and discover their potential. Because when the foundation is right, every other thing becomes easy to build upon. Now I want to share with us 15 things that every parent should look out for. Now imagine you finally hear about a school that someone recommended, or perhaps you search around or search online and you find a few schools you are interested in. What exactly should you be looking out for? Yeah, 15 key things I believe every parent should consider before making that decision. The first thing you should look out for is the school atmosphere. Now, the moment you walk into the school, pause and check around. How were you received? First of all, ask. Were you welcomed warmly? Watch how the children are responding to their teachers Observe the interactions around you, how the people are communicating. Even while you are talking to the administrative board, observe every little thing about the school atmosphere. How is everything coordinated? That's the first thing you should do. Observe. Also check if your spirit agree with the atmosphere. How did you feel when you entered the school? Is your spirit in agreement with this school? You can easily detect by picking signals. When you enter a school, you will know if you really want this school for your child, because the atmosphere is something that you might not be able to touch, but you can feel it. A healthy school environment reflects a healthy school culture. And remember that your child will not just be learning in this environment, they'll be living in it every single day. The next thing you should ask about is the school vision, values, and culture. You want to find out, what does this school stand for? Because every school has vision and every school has its own values. So the question is, do these values align with yours? Because some schools are big on punctuality, others are big on excellence, others focus more on leadership, others are on character, discipline, or even Christian values. So you want to find out, what is the school vision and mission statement? Because a school that does not have a vision is just like someone that is starting a journey and does not know where they are going to. So be sure that they have a vision and they are not just there for business purpose. And beyond asking about the vision, observe to know or see that the school is living out these values. Because it's one thing to write down values on a banner, and it's another thing to see it reflected in the life of the teachers and the children. The third thing you want to consider is the school location and convenience. This is one thing that many parents overlook, but it's very important. You want to find out, is the school located in a peaceful environment or in a very noisy, busy environment with constant traffic, music, or unnecessary distractions? It's very important. Again, you want to find out, what is the distance of the school from your home or from your workplace, because you don't want to end up spending hours in traffic just to drop your child off school, and also coming back you go through that same stress, because remember, you'll be doing this every single day, and before you get home you're already exhausted, your child is exhausted. So consider this thing, and you don't also want to start spending heavy transport fare, and before the end of the term you see that you have already spent even more than the tuition fee or the fees that you pay for the school. No. So consider the proximity to your home or your workplace. For school fees and affordability, choose a school that you can comfortably afford, not just for one term but for the long term. Don't choose a school under pressure or because you want to impress somebody, or a school that you have to be borrowing to sustain that kind of a lifestyle. No. Choose a school that fits your current financial level, that you can always afford anytime, any day. And one thing you need to also find out the total cost. Tuition, ask them about every fee, to books, to cost of transport, uniforms. Make sure you ask all these questions, and also ask for hidden or miscellaneous charges. If the school does different activities or different occasions where they will ask children to do this, bring that. You want to find that, so that you don't keep getting different fee this week and another week and all of that. So find out everything you need to know about fees. And don't forget what we discussed earlier, don't judge a school by its fees. Because a school is affordable doesn't automatically mean that it's of less quality, and because it is expensive doesn't automatically also mean that it is the best school for your child. The next thing to ask about is the curriculum and learning approach. What does the school actually teach, and how do they teach it? Now, a lot of parents believe that, oh, every school is teaching the same thing. Not every school is teaching the same thing, and even if they are not teaching it the same way also. So you want to find out, what is their curriculum. Ask them what is their scheme of work, like you want to see it, check and let them. Some, you will be surprised that some schools don't even have scheme of work, they don't have a standard curriculum. And beyond just checking the curriculum, also find out if the content of the scheme of work is appropriate for your child's age. Yes, some schools are operating on a very low standard scheme of work or curriculum, while others also have higher standards that are even higher than your child's age. So you want to find out what will they actually teach your child. Now, beyond finding out what they will teach, also ask, how will they teach it? What method will they be using to teach your children? Because teaching is not just about standing in the classroom and talking blah 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 blah. No, there are skills that are used in teaching. Children learn differently, especially younger children. Learning should be what? Engaging. It should be practical. It should involve pictures, activities, demonstrations, discussions, and opportunities for children to think for themselves. Now, for example, some modern schools are now teaching alphabet sound before the alphabet names, because it actually helps children to start reading much faster. But now imagine putting your child in a school where they are still teaching A, B, C, D, and one other child somewhere is learning A, Ba, Ka, Da, and blending sounds together. You can see that it is different. Some also using the Montessori method of teaching, where the child will explore things by themselves and learn not by memorizing, but they're actually doing these things themselves. So you see that it is different. Now, I'm not saying one teaching method is perfect, but ask questions to find out if the school is actually preparing your child for today's world, or simply repeating methods that do no longer meet the needs of today's children. Because our children are growing up in a different world, completely different from the ones we grew up in. So these children ask questions, they are curious, they want to understand what is happening around them. So you want to make sure that your child learn in a better way. 6. Teachers and classroom dynamics. Ask about the qualification of the teachers. How effective are they? Also, you want to ask about the classroom size. How many children are in one class or will be in one class? You want to ask to know. Then you also want to check, is the class crowded, or does every child have enough space to learn comfortably? Now, you also want to ask about teacher to pupil or student ratio. How many teachers will be in a class? Imagine one teacher trying to manage a class of 40 to 50 children. How much attention will each of the students or children be able to get from that teacher? So this is why it's important that you ask. Why there might not be a standard class size, because it varies from country to country and state to state. But for a general guide, at least for a nursery class, you should be expecting at least 10 to 20 pupils, to one teacher and an assistant teacher or a caregiver. At least there should be a caregiver around for those lower classes. You don't expect that the class teacher will still be the one to go and clean the children, thereby leaving the other children in the class. No, there should be a caregiver to take care of those children, and there should be an assistant teacher in the class if they are up to 20. Now, also for primary, you should be looking at between 20 to 25 to 35, depending on the class. While for junior secondary school, you should be looking at 30 to 35. For senior secondary school, about 40 children should be in a class. Is ideal or reasonable, or what was prescribed according to the research I made. It is important to ask this question because a smaller class size helps teachers to effectively manage students, pay attention to each child. They are able to ask questions and give your child the best service. Closely related to this is teachers' presentation and relationship. When you visit a school, observe the teachers. How do they dress? How do they speak? Especially if the way your child speaks is of importance to you. You want to observe that. How do they carry themselves? Are they respectful, patient? Are they approachable? Do they smile? You want to find out all of these things, because your children don't just learn from what their teacher teach. They also learn from who they are. Also, you want to observe how the teachers relate with the children. Is there warmth? Is there encouragement? You want to find out how do they relate with the children, because a healthy teacher-child relationship creates a safe environment where children are willing to learn, ask questions, and grow with confidence. Next, the physical facilities and learning environment. So you want to take a good look at the physical environment and ask yourself, is this environment helping children learn? Visit the classroom. Check if they are spacious. Are they well ventilated? Do they have proper lifts? You want to also find out, do they have age appropriate facilities like the chairs and the height? Check the height of the chairs and everything. Do they have age appropriate facilities in that school? Also, are there learning materials available and are they in good condition? You want to find that. Now, if the school has science laboratories or libraries, ICT rooms, ask to see them. You want to check if they are in good shape and they are really functioning. Now, for younger children, you want to observe whether there are learning aids, educational toys, instructional materials, interactive materials that stimulate learning. Then step aside the classroom. Are there playground? Of course, all works and no play make Jack say what? A dull boy. So I don't know why a school that is meant for younger children will not have a playground. Check, no matter how small it is, ensure that the school has a playground. Everything must not be about book. And also confirm if there are sports or recreational facilities. Remember that children don't just grow academically, they also develop physically, socially, and emotionally through play. A good school understands that learning doesn't just happen inside the classroom, but also outside the classroom. Next is hygiene and cleanliness. Now, this is one thing that many parents also overlook, but is important. Look around the school surrounding, check the classroom. Are they neat? Are they properly taken care of? Another important thing you want to check is the toilets. Go ask about the toilets. Go and check them out. Are they clean? Is there proper running water? Are they well maintained? You want to find out because this is what your child will be using every single day. And you don't want a situation whereby your child will be falling sick or get infected because these things happens. So check, ensure that the environment is clean enough. You don't also want your child returning home every day looking dirty. So observe the cleanliness, hygiene of the school. Next is extracurricular activities. See, everything should not be about book. You want to ask, what opportunities does this school provide outside academics? So find out, does the school offer sports, music, dance, debate, coding, arts, excursions, educational trips? These are activities that help children discover talent they may never discover inside the classroom. And beyond just asking if they have these extracurricular activities, also ask if they have the facilities for it and if they are functional. Go check them out. See, remember that not every child will become a lawyer or a doctor. Some children will end up being musicians, some will end up being artists, some will end up being involved in sports. So you want to find out if they have this kind of opportunities that actually help children to develop their potentials and also discover their talent. It is very important. Don't overlook this part. And again, having all these activities in school also help children to be excited while going to school because there is also something different from just learning book, to keep them excited, stimulated, and make them just enjoy school, make school fun. Like my niece, if you ask her what do you love about your school, it's activities. That's the first thing she will tell you, that she love her school because they always do different things, blah 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 blah. So ensure that the school is providing such opportunities. That at school now teaches her how to dance ballet and she loves it so much, and that's a skill that she's learning by the side. So just make sure you are asking about these things because they are important. Next is daily services and child welfare. Now you want to ask about the daily routine of the school. Some schools have specific culture, what they do on Wednesday, Mondays, Tuesday. They have specific things that they actually to do. So ask about that. Now apart from that, you want to find out the meal. What if the school offers lunch or meal, you want to find out what is in the menu. What kind of food they give to these children, so you know if there is any food that your child may probably be allergic to or you don't want them to have. So you check about the meal. Also ask about transport service, if the school offer transport service, if there are school bus, especially if you think that you will not be able to be dropping your child off and picking them from school. So you want to know if they have school bus, and are these school bus reliable, are they safe, are they well supervised. you want to know. This might look small, but there are also important things to check out for. Next is safety and security. As a parent, nothing should matter more to you than your child's safety, especially if you are in Nigeria. So don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask if there are trained security personnel in the school, and make sure you are seeing them. Also ask about like what measures are being put in place to prevent unauthorized people from entering. There are some schools that even for the parents, you are not even allowed to enter. They just, you come to the gate, you drop the child off, and that's it. So you want to ask about those things. Also, you want to ask, what is the child pick-up policy? Can just anybody just come and pick up your child? I remember a time I wanted to help my brother pick up my nephew from school. I was just waiting. I was like waiting patiently to see what the school will do. But immediately I got there, they had to first of all call my brother to confirm if he was the one that actually sent me to pick him up. And that is a very good one. I was like, oh, this school, okay. They are very good, big on security and safety. So you want to find out if they have such policy in place. Also, you want to know if there are proper identification and authorization process. Also, look around to check. Do this school have fire extinguishers? Do they have emergency exits? We are not praying for bad things to happen, but a good school should always plan for unexpected occurrences. Let's talk about the discipline system. Yes, you need to ask, how do they discipline children? Now, I know a lot of you are surprised because this is one of the questions many parents don't even care to ask. But it's important because every school has a way of correcting children. So you want to find out, how do they discipline? Do they discipline in a way that builds character, or do they simply control behavior through fear? You want to find out. Don't misunderstand me. Every child needs discipline, but the way discipline is done matters a lot, because you don't want a situation whereby a teacher will use cane and flog your child and peel their bumbo, or they use ruler to hit their hand or hit their head. So you want to ask, when a child does something, how do they discipline? Especially if you understand what discipline actually is, and you have a way you tend to discipline your child, or at home you are not the type that believe on flogging and the rest. So you want to find out if the school will actually reinforce what you're already building at home. How is discipline done? We grew up in a different generation. Many of us experience very strict and heavily corporal method, but today's children are growing up in a different world. Children of these days are very curious. They ask questions, they express themselves, and they think differently. So a good school should be able to instill discipline while still helping the child to develop good character, build self-control. So the goal of any school shouldn't be to just produce children who obey. The goal is to raise children who choose to do what is right because they know it is the right thing to do. Next questions to ask is rules, policies, and parent involvement, because every school has its own rules and regulations. So you want to ask questions like, what time must children be in school? Because some schools, they are very strict on punctuality. Some will tell you 7 a.m. your child must be in school. Now you also want to ask, what happens if the child comes late? For some schools, they will tell you your child will go back home, or your child will pay a fine for coming late. So you want to ask this question. You also want to ask, what happens if you delay in picking up your child? Some tells you, oh, by 4 p.m. you must pick up your child, and if for any reason your child will be staying an extra hours, you have to pay for upkeep or all of those things, or you will pay a fine if you don't come early. So you want to ask this question so that you can be well informed. Also, you want to ask, are there extra charges you should know about? Also, you want to ask this important question. For example, if you have 4 children that you are admitting at a time, some schools offer discounts for the 4th child, or even free tuition for the last child if you are going to be admitting 4 children at a time. So you want to find out what are the school rules, policies, and regulations. Also, you want to ask about parent involvement. Do they organize PTA meetings? How often, if they do? Do they hold open day where the parents can come and monitor their children's academic progress, interact with the teacher, asking about the child's character, how the child is behaving, and all of that? You want to find out all of these things, because education works best when both the school and the home, or the teachers, the parents, work together. I know some of us will be wondering, will the school be able to answer all these questions? Won't they feel like we are asking too much and all of that? It brings us to the next point, which is the 15th point: openness and transparency. How open and transparent is this school? Now, a good school shouldn't be afraid to answer your questions. They should be confident enough to walk you around the school and show you what goes on inside the school. They should be able to answer all these questions. If a school keeps hiding things or places too many unnecessary restrictions on what you can see, that should be a red flag. Because the school should be able to give you answers to questions and be able to walk you around to show you everything that you really need to know. Now, I'm not saying you must have unrestricted access to every part of the school, no, because a lot of schools have their own policies and all of that helps to protect the children. But at least they should be able to help you understand their school environment, their system, and how they operate. Because remember that transparency builds trust. So ask questions and don't be afraid to seek clarity before making a decision. Before I conclude, let me leave you with this bonus tip. Don't just rely on what the school tells you alone. No, I want you to do your own underground research. Talk to parents whose children are already attending such schools to get real feedback. Ask them questions like, what do you genuinely love about this school? What has your experience been like? Ask them, if you had the opportunity, would you still choose this school? Ask such questions, and let me tell you, the truth is they will give you feedback. Parents love talking about their children and their children's school, so they'll be interested in giving you this information. Beyond talking to the parents, if you have the opportunity to also talk to children who are already attending such school, ask them simple questions like, what do you enjoy about your school? Children will tell you what they enjoy about their school. Another thing you can also do is to observe children in that school. When they are going to the school, do they look happy? Do they look confident? Are they always neat on their uniforms? Check if they look put together. Are they excited going to school, or do they look withdrawn from going to school? If possible, also speak to former parents that their children were previously in that school, and find out what was their reason for withdrawal. Why did they withdraw their children for such schools? Now, you may not be able to get every answer, or you will definitely gather enough information that will help you to make a decision. I have one final secret for you. When searching for a school, don't only visit during the holiday where everywhere is quiet and beautifully arranged for you to come. No, visit when school is actually in session. That is when you can really experience or find out the real atmosphere of the school. When school is in session, that's when you'll be able to see the children in the class, the teachers, how discipline is done. You'll be able to tell whether the children are genuinely happy and engaged. And please don't allow anyone pressure you into making payments immediately. No, take your time, visit other schools, compare your options, take a paper and a book, write down the peculiar things you are finding about each school you visit so that you don't forget or get confused later. So take your time, visit schools, come to a conclusion. This is one decision that will shape your child's life for years. So you need to take your time to decide the best. Now at this point, a lot of you will be like, which school will be able to meet all these specifications? Now, you may never find a school that ticks every box, and that is perfectly okay. But let's assume that there are 10 things that are important to you or to your family, and a school genuinely meets at least 7 to 8 out of 10. Then you should consider that school the right fit for your child. Also, understand that your options may differ depending on where you live. Parents living in rural communities may not have the same choices as parents living in major cities. Put this into consideration. Choose wisely from the options that are available to you. Above all, don't just ask, what is the best school? Ask instead, what is the right school for my child? Because children learn differently. And remember, you are not just choosing a school where your child will be educated. You are choosing one of the environments that will help shape who your child becomes. I hope this video has helped you. If it did, please, I want you to give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you haven't, and share this video with another parent that might probably be thinking of how to look for the right school for their child, or simply searching for a school for their children this season. And I would also love to hear from you. Which of these points was an eye-opener for you? And what else do you think that parents should look out for when searching for the right school for their children? Let's continue this conversation in the comment section. Until next time, stay intentional and keep parenting for impact.